Okay, we've started recording that. So, okay, I'll pass over to Phil, and we'll crack on. Any questions as we go through, guys? Do ask as we go along.
Maybe we can first have the demonstration so that we can list down all the questions that we have.
Okay. Well, let's obviously on the screen you can see an ASPR. This is just this is actually an electronic one that was sent from the MHRA. And
just to check, guys, can you see the screen okay? Are you seeing an ASPR?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, great. I just wanted to check. Sometimes there's a delay, isn't there? So that's great.
So this is the type of document that you're familiar with that we're set up to capture from. As you know, the product we use for this is Abbyy, and this is Abbyy FlexiCapture version 10. This is the standalone version, and therefore we're going to take those ASPRs through a series of steps to capture the actual data off them. Those steps are basically set out along this menu line where we load images, we recognize the type of document, we verify the data, and then we export them. I've preloaded 4 documents so that we can just step to the recognition stage, but basically to load documents you can either come and just find documents and select them, or you can actually set up an import job that will actually take from a scanner, or we'll look in a hot folder if you've got PDFs or images already. We'll pick up from a hot folder and we'll load them into this stage, and that's effectively what you're seeing on the screen here. Sorry. They were loaded the other day and have created a batch. Within the batch are the documents that were picked up from that folder. So if I just select those, I can recognize them. Now this process takes a few seconds, and normally the recognition is done as the documents are imported. So you wouldn't actually see a list of documents that said unprocessed. You would see a list of documents that have been recognized. And by recognition, Abbyy looks at the document, and as you can see, it started to go through them, and it says it's recognized the first document as an ASPR, the second document as an ASPR,
This bit's a little bit like watching paint dry, so bear with us, guys. Doing a lot of hard work in the background, though.
Yep.
Third one is an ASPR, but there's actually a problem with that one. So we've got a little red error flag.
Okay. What is the percentage that is coming next to the number? What does that mean? Confidence level.
Basically, Abbyy is trying to pick up all the characters on the ASPR. So what it's saying is that on that first one, it's found 900 characters on the ASPR, 900 individual characters, and it is confident that it's recognized correctly 866 of them, or 96%. That means that there are some left to be validated, verified by a human being. If we recognised 100% here, this wouldn't go to this here would not go to verification. It would go straight to export, and it could go straight through. If I show you verification now, And I don't verify one at a time. I can verify all 4 together. Displayed are all the zeros that Abbyy is not sure about. So it's pretty sure these are zeros, but it's not 100% confident. And as you see, if you just step through like this, need all zeros. Similarly, ones, obviously they could be confused with a capital I or something. How Abbyy works is for each field, such as the drug start date or the characterization, we actually tell it what sort of data it should be expecting. So in this case, it's expecting to see dates, so it's expecting to see numbers. It's just not sure whether these are
numbers or not.
Now, when you're a skilled operator who does this regularly, would look at all those ones and would actually look at them and actually, rather than stepping through them all, would look at the images up here where the cursor is moving and actually say from there that there's one I need to check. Similarly, they're all 3s.
Yeah, so you don't have to check them all, guys. You can either accept all of them as being correct, or you can jump to a specific information.
So there it's recognised that as a capital D, and it just wants to check with me. H's, can somebody? So there, it thinks that is a capital O, but in fact, of course, we know that is a 0. So we can change that to a 0. There.
Okay, so we have an option of changing it here itself, right?
Yes. Yes. So I've changed that, the recognition. I've told Abbyy that that's not a capital O, that is a 0. So here, it has had, it hasn't recognised the field correctly, so it tells me that there is an issue here. So I have the option here to type in the correct value. So it tells me that it's looking for the reaction duration as a number, a numeric value, so that's a 0. Again, it's validating that that is 2191, and in fact that's actually what it says. That seems a very long duration, but so that is my verification complete. So if I go to any of the, and so now the ones that have gone to green to export, I could actually export those. This one with the red flag still needs some more validation. So if I actually open that up, I get to see the document and I get to see the fields here. There's no patient, the patient sex hasn't been, sorry, the parent sex. It's making a suggestion for the parent sex, or it's telling me there's no parent sex, so that's just a warning. But actually I know here that because of the number of active constituencies associated with dioralite, the way that it's set up, it wants to suggest to me that does the anhydrous glucose, does it match with the budesonide? And well, it doesn't. So here, So I can change that and correct that, and I know all these others. And this is the reason that we're getting this, we're having to put these in manually, is because we've limited the number of active constituencies that can go with a particular product name, so that we can ensure that actually we have the correct one. As you can see, one was so now I've corrected all those 4 ASPRs, and I'm not a skilled operator, and that's taken, what, a couple of minutes, three or 4 minutes, and now I can actually...
Okay, I had a doubt. Can we proceed without entering in the field where the errors were there, in the product names?
Yes, you can. You can set the project to export with errors, or I could defeat the rule. But then, of course, at the next stage, it depends on how you enter it into your database.
How we've got it set up, Sarojit, it wouldn't let you export that until you correct the errors.
Okay.
But that can be changed. It's just that's how we've got this project set up. Then what we have is we have a validator tool that we created.
But this tool takes the output from Abbyy, and Phil will explain what it does now.
So basically the output of Abbyy, if I go to the output of Abbyy,
So is this the E2B validator, or is this the...
This is the output, this is the actual output of Abbyy. This is the XML file produced by I can pick these up from here. It brings them into effectively an electronic version of the ASPR, so that any values that you want to, this does the conversion of a lot of the values to meet the E2B standard. So for example, we take female and give it a numeric code of 2. The patient age has been identified as years, and therefore we get an 801 here. It also down here in the message bar tells me that I've got a reaction outcome that hasn't been recognised. So if I look through the tabs, it lists the drugs. So if I wanted to edit a drug, so I can come through here and look at the test, make sure that the various values are correct, see if there are any comments. It tells me here how many characters there are in the comment, because obviously the E2B standard only allows so many characters. So if this exceeded the maximum limit, it would show in red the ones that were exceeded, and I could make a decision on what to do. And once I've finished, I can export. And at this point, it's actually using a web service to validate the file that I'm creating against the E2B standard. So down here, it's saying validated output, validating, and then it's telling me that it's, because I've done this before, it's telling me that it's overwritten. So if I So this is the actual E2B file that's been created. Find something in it. If I go down into the safety report, values that are in the E2B file. So what we've created is an E2B file that has as much data in it validated from the ASPR as we can get off the ASPR. And this just gives me the ability, this screen here gives me the ability to look at the ASPR or to edit the ASPR, or the E2B file. I could make a change here if I wanted to. But again, you don't have to give access to these.
A back-end product called BaseCon. And Phil tells me this isn't a fully formed E2B file, but it's what BaseCon wanted to accept, if that makes sense.
Okay. Phil, the process that we are actually looking at is, if we have a tool in which we can convert the ASPR to a particular XML file, and then just basically import that file onto RSG, and whatever changes that we need to make, we would rather make them on the RSG instead of making it at any other place.
Yeah, no, that's fair
enough. This is what.
You have two, going back into Abbyy here, currently I have this set up to produce I'm an admin, so I can do anything in Abbyy. So this is the actual, code that finds the different fields and finds the. And currently, you'll see here, I have it set up to create a standard XML file. So if I edit that, it tells me that I'm going to save a PDF of the document, and I'm going to make a standard Abbyy XML file. So in that case, you could, effectively what our validator does is convert the standard XML into an E2B XML, and if you wanted, you could take the standard XML output and convert it to something else. So that's one approach.
Yeah, so if you've got IT guys there, you could say, here's the standard output, do what you like with this now.
And the other option is to do, when we create the XML output, we also create an audit file that says when it was processed, etc. But here you'll see that actually I have coded this. So similarly, you could place code here to create the form of XML that you wanted individually to create. And basically what this code is saying is it tells me here, it's telling me where to put the file, and here it's telling me where it has me field here. That is a field off the captured ASPR. So if I wanted to create a different XML or a more complicated XML or an XML to match exactly what you wanted, we would just build it here, and that would be the output that is created. And in essence, that's it really. Obviously, Abbyy as a product can do many more things, but in the ASPR world, this is how the capture works. We have a couple of customers using it with ASPRs. They seem to get very good results, and they get very good productivity. One of our customers uses the validator, and one of our customers just takes the standard XML, and they wrote their own converter to convert that into the import format for their database.
Any questions at this point, guys?
We were just sort of trying to understand that, if we want to basically migrate this XML onto RSG, how much effort would it take for an IT guy to convert the standard XML onto E2B XML?
Just to convert it, probably, I don't know, I guess it would take me about a day. The problem you have is, that our first customer with this, who did their own conversions, their database would accept errors, and then they corrected errors in the database. Our second customer, who uses the BaseCon product, their import system will not accept any errors. If there's an error in the E2B file, BaseCon will not accept it and will not read it into the database, which is why we came up with the validator. So if you have a situation where your database will actually import fields that may have an error, and then you will flag them and correct them in the database, then it's certainly less than a day's work probably to make an E2B output directly from Abbyy, because we wouldn't need to do any validation.
But I'm not able to understand. So he will take a day to convert every single ASPR, or I mean, how will this? I mean, what if I've got
your IT guy would need to write a program.
Okay.
I mean, you have two options. We can modify Abbyy to output an E2B file with no validation of the E2B file. If your database will accept, an E2B file that could contain data with errors, because you're going to flag them up in the database, or you could write, a program that is, whereas our validator, if I load a document, whereas our validator shows you this document and allows you to edit it, you could write a program that just picked up this XML file here that is the standard Abbyy one and converted it directly into that format. Now with BaseCon, if we did that, these files may not import into their BaseCon database, because if you've got an error in the data, you've got a non-numeric value in a numeric field, for example, because let's say 50 got recognized as 50, That's a non-numeric value. Importing that into BaseCon would fail, and it wouldn't import to BaseCon. With our other customer, they can import that into their database, and their database tells them that there's a problem with that field, and then they correct it in their database.
Okay. Have you ever worked with any client who had RSG?
No.
Okay. So then I guess this is something that we need to internally check whether RSG would be able to accept XML files that have got certain errors in it.
Yes, and BaseCon, as I say, will not, which is why we came up with what's on the screen now, because the values and things all have to be correct. Whereas the other solution accepted errors and they corrected them in the database. So it's a question of, you know, what LSG will accept.
Okay, and what if RSG is able to accept, right? What if RSG is able to accept a E2B file that has got errors in it, right? So in that case, we do not need to have a E2B tool, right? This I mean E2B well.
No, that is correct. If LSG could read in a file that could contain errors, all you would need is Abbyy, and we would change the output here to be an E2B format, but one that could contain those errors that, you know, because what Abbyy doesn't do, for example, what the validator does, for example, in field situations such as patient age and patient weight, there are limits. It can't be below a certain value, it can't be above a certain value, and the validator will actually flag that up. So if somebody on the ASPR has typed in that a patient is 205 years old rather than 20 or 25, the validator will flag that up and say this is wrong, you have to make a decision. Obviously, because BaseCon, for example, will not accept a patient age of 205 years.
Okay. Now, our process is that, you know, what we plan to do is that the data entry, quality review, and medical review, you know, those three steps would be kept as is. So, you know, so even if there are some amount of errors in the XML that is coming on to the RSG, we would still be able to modify and correct it. So I guess the only
that would be ideal, and that was how we were hoping to work with BaseCon. But unfortunately, as I've said, BaseCon will not read in an invalid E2B file, so you have to make sure it's correct before giving it to BaseCon. That's just the way BaseCon is. So if LSG will accept an E2B file, you know, with a date, with an age or a weight, for example, out of range, then you would be fine to create the E2B file, import it into LSG, and continue on as you are.
Now, is it possible? I mean, how would I be able to test this? I mean, is it possible for us to, you know, to modify an ASPR, or, you know, to basically convert an ASPR to
we can send you. Why don't we send you a couple of the E2B files that we output?
Okay.
Because they should be good. They should be good values. And on one of them, I'll just change the patient age to 205 years or something. And I can send you 2 or 3 of those, and you can see if LSG would import them.
Fine. I think that would be I think that is a way to test that. We could very easily import that and to see if it works. So then, you know, I was looking at your email that you had sent. So So in that case, we would not be needing the E2B validation tool, right? So that costing would not be needed, right?
Yeah, no, I believe that wouldn't. No, I don't think that would be needed.
Okay, would we still be needing the Abbyy FlexiCapture as per project costing?
Yes.
Yeah, and guys, bear in mind there's a lot of work that went into developing this. Abby's a very capable product. Just to give you a flavour, I mean, it's a week training course, 1 week, to learn how to use that. And I don't know how long Phil took in developing this, but there's a lot of work in the Abbyy side. So that's kind of what we sell you, is the basic Abbyy software, and if you like the project, you know, to do this.
Okay, all right, that's fine, Joe. So again, you know, the costings and all, we would have to discuss this with our UK-based office first. But otherwise, I guess for you know, for the initial, I mean, discussions, I guess the thing that we need to figure out is whether RSG would be accepting an E2B file that is generated from Abbyy that may or may not have errors in it, right?
Yeah. Shall we send you a valid file and an invalid file? Yeah. Yeah.
Sarabjit?
Yeah, one with errors and
one without errors. And then we can. And is it possible also for you to send the source documents also with that, so that at least we can actually compare it against the original?
Yes, I can do that.
I mean, we don't need any of the patient. Yeah, I mean, we don't need any of the patient, I mean, sensitive data, but you know, whatever that you feel, I mean, comfortable in sending, without having any privacy issues, so that at least we can, you know, once.
I mean, the ASPRs are public domain. They don't have any client details or anything on them. So we will send you ones that are fine for us to send to you.
Fine, I guess. And then what we will do is we will try to import them onto the RSG and see if it works or not, and which one of those is working, and then, you know, and then whatever issues there are, then we'll just come back to you on that.
Okay, that sounds good.
That's great. All right, guys. Thanks very much for your time. We'll send you a link to download the recording as well, because it'll be quite a big file. I'd imagine it'll be several gigabytes.
Okay, I just had another question. How will the confidence level be different for a scanned ASPR and a PDF ASPR?
Very difficult to answer, I'm afraid. On a good quality scan, basically no difference. You would usually expect the confidence level to be a little bit lower on a scan document, but I mean, one of our customers is wholly PDF, and the other customer started off wholly scanned and now does mostly PDFs with some scans, and they got, you know, they were getting high 80s, early 90s for the scanned documents and the PDFs. So it's very difficult to tell. I mean, the only way really to tell is if you sent us a scanned ASPR, we would just put it through and show you.
Okay, and how does the cost, is there a cost variation also between the two?
No, Abbyy will take scanned images, take PDFs, etc. There's no difference in cost.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. If you're happy now, we'll finish the session, and Phil will send you over the sample files, and I'll send you a link to download the recording of the web demo.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
All right, guys. Have a good evening. Cheerio.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.